Hello and welcome back. We're just following the Britannia around there, and I'm standing on the outside of the railway, and you'll be able to see I've added an engine shed. I think that's quite interesting. It's a late 70s one. I can't remember the number. We'll have a look at the box it came in a moment. But I've added this group of sidings here over the last week. They're not complete yet, and we've got point motors on them, but nothing is wired up as it stands at the moment. But I've got sort of most of the work done to get it running, but just need the time to get it fully installed. So I've got cabling prepared. So I've got all the tails for the point ends. Point motors have been tested, but not on the bench, not on the layout. They've been tested on the bench. So I've got all of the cabling run back to the switches on at the controllers over there. So all of the sort of under the baseboard stuff is in place. Let me just widen the camera a little. And you can see I've got more tail ends there, just all ready for connecting up. And these ones here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just swap to the other side of the railway in the middle there, and we'll see if we can get the Britannia in, and we'll operate the points manually. See if we can have a look at that. And we are going to have a look at the Kneller Hall, the sort of slightly later 70s version of the Albert Hall. Pretty much the same model, a couple of variations. So we'll just pick up the Britannia and we'll bring her around to the points near the girder bridge, and we'll bring her to a stop. And then we'll see if we can get things prepared. Great looking model. Now, no particular reason why I got this group of wagons, but they're quite nice to test the points with. They would just happen to be on the layout, so I thought we'd use those. So let's bring that to a gentle stop there. And what we're going to do is open the points here, and then we'll bring the Britannia round into these sidings there. Let's give that a go. Excuse the floorboards. So what we need is see if we can have a look here. So we need that one, and that's the curved one, and the rest of the points are set manually. So let's keep an eye on the Britannia, and we'll run her in there. I think we're all the way in there. So if I grab an uncoupling device or the trying decoupler, sorry, the camera's wobbling there. We'll see if we can pop this in underneath here. I think we'll just run that backwards while we're at it. And then I've got these points set correctly here, so we'll run the Britannia forward to start with. Let's see if we can keep an eye on that. There we go, and then let's switch what I think will end up being number 5. Let's see what we've got set at the other end. Yeah, so that'll run all the way back past those wagons. So we need to switch. See if I can reach over here, number 1. You can see how electrifying these is going to make it a little bit more fun. So let's change the direction of the Britannia. Let's see how we do with this point work. So I'm just going to stop her there while I take care of the points that we've left behind us, the electric ones. So we'll set the main line back to straight and set that siding back to the standard track, not standard track, but the approach into the siding. So we'll continue backwards with the Britannia. There we go, and I think we'll just stand her in the station behind the blue and grey coaches. Let's just have a quick look over here. So we'll just put it near the bridge there. So I need to switch number 1 to start with. And then we need what looks like 3 and 4. 3. 4 and 5. There we go. So sounds good in theory, so we'll continue backwards. So we still seem to have the blue and greys and the class 37 energised there, so I thought I had that isolated, so that was what the sound was in the background there. So we'll get back to that, and now we should be in business again. So let's go backwards with that. That's more like it. So we'll just leave her sitting there. So this Reiko blue and greys with the class 37 should have been isolated between I'll get the hand in shot between here and here, but I'd forgotten to throw the switches, so when I moved the Britannia backwards she jumped into life. So hopefully we're all set there. So let's just switch back the points again. So I want number 5, so we can lock her in there. 4 wants to be open because we will be using that platform 2 there at the 3, sorry, at the station, and then let's close number 1 for now. So let's have a quick look at the engine shed, and we'll have a look at the Kneller Hall and the Albert Hall. I've got both models sitting on the layout there. So let's just have a quick look at the box that came in, sort of late 70s. I have to pop that down. Late 70s Hornby Railways box, R146, a modern engine shed. I'm not quite sure what that sort of red rubber stamping represents, but this is a later version, late 70s version of the engine shed. Engine shed basic design came along in the early 60s, and it was in a sort of a darker maroon colour. Remember my old station buildings, but originally it had separate ventilators up here and a slightly different design around here. And I think in the early 70s, when they switched to bright red buildings, they had green ventilators for a while, but this one's all moulded in the roof, so it hasn't got separate ventilators because they always go missing. But I think it shares some of the same parts, really, the sides and so on. And it doesn't have bars painted on the windows, so it makes it look a little bit sort of, I think the word is naked, really. It looks like there's something missing when you're used to looking at the old one. Let's just pop this over here for now. We'll just have a swift look at these 2 locomotives together. So my version of the Kneller Hall is quite a worn one. And then my Albert Hall, 70s Albert Hall, this is the one from the Silver Jubilee set. There's a video I did last year on that. We can see the Albert Hall in great detail there. There's a couple of differences between the models, but I think it's basically the same thing. The Kneller Hall has this orange stripe running right along the footplate and along the tender frame here, and the lining on the cylinders is quite different to the Albert Hall, although they are very, very worn on this version of the model I have. Some of the handrail detail here has gone, but we'll have a closer look over in a little while. But quite fine scale-ish wheels, and it's got the slightly lower gearing than the Lord Westwood we saw, which had the earlier motor, and slightly coarser wheels, and she does tend to tear away. She's quite an energetic model. These later ones are far more controllable. So I think we'll put the engine shed back where she lives. Well, that's where she's living for now. There we go. So I did have lights in my engine sheds on the last layout, but I'm not sure whether that's really going to be the thing this time. I am going to put some lights on, I think, but I don't think it was ever any real benefit in the engine shed. It didn't really lift the look of the models. So we'll see. I have been fiddling again with the 3D printer. I've made this sort of diesel refueling area here. So if you look at the insert pictures, you can see I've made a number of parts, and I have put in a little LED in there. So this is very much influenced by part of the Triang TT range. They're a diesel refueling kit or a set of items. Had some tanks. I'm sorting the tanks out there. They'll be along soon when I finish them, but I thought that looked interesting, shall we say. So let's get the Kneller Hall out. So to start with, I need to energise the track. So I need to open number 1R. So that one. And then we need to switch a point. I'm just going to switch the controls. So we've got everything energized there. So we need number 4R as well. So let's get 4R. Nice reassuring snap there. Now let's see if we can roll her out over the turntable. I can't remember which direction we're set, so we may run straight into the buffers. Let's see. Actually, I need to turn her around because my plan is to pick up these Pullman coaches. We've been keeping this secret. So I've got this rake of Pullmans. They are largely from the Silver Jubilee set, plus a brake, which we can't see, just hiding over there. Can't see it for the canopy at the moment, so I really do need to turn her around. So I think we'll back her back onto the turntable. Sorry, I'm forgetting my own plans here. So let's see if she'll roll back. Let's switch that again. Let's see if we can go back onto the turntable. And then we'll rotate. Take the opportunity to have a quick look over the model as she turns around. She's got nice wire handrails in there. And let's get ready to cut that motor. There we have it. So, as ever, have we got going to go in the right direction? Let's have a look. Yep. So I think that turntable really is built for the era of non-tender drive locomotives. So let's back her out through this point work to start with. Perhaps not stop it on the points there. So let's switch number 1. And then we want 2B. Sorry, I should have been pointing that way. That's 2B there. And 1B. Let's see if we can step back a bit and see her run through the point work for you. So we'll change direction, I think. There she goes. So then if we switch 2B, see if we can keep the camera pointing in a relevant direction, and then I think that's 3B. Now I did print out the labels for these so I can redo them, but I haven't got around to knifing them out and putting them in because these laminated ones were very difficult to see. So we want to change direction. And we'll roll back in and see if we can, not back in, but in, and pick up these Pullmans, full Pullman service. So, wrong direction. No chuff chuff sound in this model. I don't know whether she ever did have it. Let's slow that down a little bit as we reach the coaches. There we have it. So whilst my Albert Hall, late Albert Hall, does have chuff chuff sound, and the Lord Westwood does, this model doesn't have the unit in. It's got the provision for it, but I don't think it was possibly ever fitted. Now, let's see if we can ease this lot out of the station. Impressive looking train this, I think, when we get underway. Slight stall or hesitation on the point work there. All those coaches shunting into each other as it happens. There we go. Odd really, because she sailed in there with no hesitation whatsoever, didn't she? But that's points for you really. So we'll leave that set like that, and let's just give her a little bit of a run round. So I think the 4 Pullman cars, let's just have a quick look over them. What have we got? We've got Lucille here, and Ursula, and Sheila. Oh yeah, I've got a couple of huts standing around the layout now. Agatha, and car 77. So I think the first 4 came along in the mid-70s. I think they were first introduced. Let's just have a quick look at my notes. Yeah, 1975, but the brake didn't come along till 1980, by which time they were a paint finish, so they're a slightly different colour to the rest of them, but the rest are early from my Silver Jubilee set. If you have a look at the insert picture there, you can see them all in that nice polystyrene box. So let's give them a bit more power. Sorry, look, struggling for words. They've all got the Silver Seal wheels, so they run lovely and smooth. So let's get her underway. Stopped on a point there, hadn't noticed that. Let's give this a go. And we've got yet another stall. So let's have a look at that. And that is sitting on another point. She was running so smoothly just a few moments ago. Let's roll her backwards and have another go. She's definitely stalling nicely there, isn't she? So I wonder why she's suddenly going at that point. Let's just move her beyond that point and see how we do. So it sounds nice and smooth. Let's see how she does with the diamond crossing. Slight stutter there than most things do. See if we can get back a bit and you see the whole train running round. So she's got a tiny bit more pace now, so let's see how she deals with that set of points this time. Hardly a murmur from her over at that time, so let's see if we can tighten up the camera a little bit. Yeah, she has the odd little stutter here and there. But really fine looking train, I think that is. There you go, she seems to be running again. Okay, as you saw from those pictures just a moment ago, we seem to have lost the tyre back here. I'm not quite sure why that popped off, but as you saw to begin with, she was running very smoothly, so I've encouraged that back into place. It's just an interference fit that had popped off and it's suddenly becoming very unreliable on that point work. I think part of the wiring's missing. I think the TV suppressor is long gone out of this. You can see there's been a bit of a glue repair there on the cylinder blocks. But apart from that, she seems to run fairly strongly. Definitely a little bit of a wobble in this model. Those wheels are definitely far from true, but she seems to work quite well. And let's just have a quick look around the other side. Let's see if I can turn that around. You can see the other side of the chassis there. So that wire seems to have been crimped a little bit there at some point. Looks like it's been trapped in its life. As I say, I think the TV suppressor's been removed at some stage from this model. If you just look at the lining on these cylinder blocks, we'll have a look at that a bit more closely with the Albert Hall in a moment. So one last look down this side here. So we'll just pop that down. And we'll have a swift look at the body while we've got the thing separated. So as I said before, it is fairly worn. You can see the name is sort of faded away, probably due to quite a bit of handling. That silver work on the handrail, or white paintwork, whichever it is, I think it's silver, seems to be away, doesn't it? And we've got the white handrail still present, and we've got quite a bit of detail there in the cab, which is quite nice to have. So model, I think the moulding really dating back to the mid-60s, 1966, I think the Albert Hall first came along in that sort of BR livery with the BR tender, British Rail tender. I think we had a video with one of those in quite some time ago. So we've got some wording here on the body. Let's have a look. I think we've got built in Britain there. So let's see if we can get that in focus. I think we've got the logo's been altered there, so it looks like Triangle's been taken out and it's just got Hornby there. And then we've got R.759, which is the original model number for the Albert Hall, isn't it? I think that's a separately fitted part there, the chimney cap. Got a couple of separately fitted whistles or safety valves just there. So we'll pop that down, have a swift look over the tender. Now how I added a little weight to the tender, it's quite light. So I have sort of doubled the weight in there. So I just put a little bit of lead in there. You can see that orange line running along the edge of the tender there. It's in fairly tidy condition. I think one of these steps, or was it on the locomotive, may have been re-glued or broken. It's here on the corner of the tender here. Seems to have had an accident at some stage in its life and has been glued back together. So just looking in there, you can see there is the hole there underneath that back wheel. I've just put a bit of card over it just to try and cut down on the echo as well as weight. I put a bit of foam in here, so the chuff chuff sound could have gone in there. So I suspect they're just reusing the tender chassis there. So anyway, it's fairly good apart from the brake in it. Does the job. A little bit light, as I said. So let's just pop that down. We'll have a swift glance at the 78 catalogue here. Rather impressive picture on, let's see if we can grab hold of it. I can't get the corners there. Page 40 of the 78 catalogue. We had a good look through that quite recently. Rather impressive picture of the locomotive there, isn't it? So that appears to be in that slightly more sort of waxy colour. I think they may have changed the plastic on the model part way through the production, because this is more sort of darker green, well, darker green plastic than that sort of I'll get the words out, waxy-ish type of plastic. We'll have a look at it next to the Albert Hall in a moment. So let's just pop that down. And here we have a service sheet of roughly the era. This is references the slightly later model, the Hagley Hall. I think that had an all-over paint finish by the time that came along. I think that was early 80s. So we can just have a look at the inside of the model, fairly unchanged, I imagine, since the model came along in the 60s. Still got the magnet adhesion. It's still got that open frame motor there. A swift look over the box for my Kneller Hall here. It's a R.761. If we look at the info here, it's fairly tatty, and as you can see, the inside is just the white polystyrene, which was quite popular at that time. So nice face card picture there. I think that's very similar to the one in the catalogue, isn't it? And we've got some information there just printed on the face card, so we'll pop that down, and then we can have a quick look over these models. So I haven't got all of the Albert Halls or Hall models that I've got, but these are just 3 of the 70s ones. We've got the Lord Westwood, which we had running, I think, last week with the side tipping car, and we've had it out on the railway several times, I think, in the recent past. And then we've got the Albert Hall from the Silver Jubilee set, which you saw last year. Again, I'll leave links in the video, in the description box for the video for those. And then we've got the Kneller Hall there. So I think this Albert Hall was 77, and I think the Kneller Hall, as I said, is 78 to 79. So let's just have a swift look over the red one in bright red plastic, and you see that one has the chuff chuff sound in it, as we said. We've heard that making the noise around the railway. So we'll just have a look at this one. This has got the crudest wheels of the 3 locomotives here. So I think they're quite heavy metal tyres on there. They are plated, so it does have a plastic drive gear, but I think this is the earlier one. So it's still got the X04 motor in this rather than the X03, I think. So we have seen this one rather a lot recently. We'll just have a swift look over the Albert Hall. So this one also has the chuff chuff sound in the tender. You can hear that there. Quite an effective noise. So I think these mouldings, they got a lot of use out of. So this is very matte, this one, isn't it? Very matte finish on the plastic. So we'll pop that down. Have a swift look over the locomotive. So this one's in lovely condition, apart from the top of the cab, which has had some scratches on it in the past. I think we've seen that before. But the wheels are really in terrific condition there. There's that later drive gear there. So a plastic worm on the end of the motor as well. So let's have a look at those wheels. So this one's had hardly any action on the track. So I think that's a replacement wire though. Let's just pop that down, and then we'll have a look at the battered old Kneller Hall, which seems to be dropping to pieces as we're using it. Again, I think there's a slightly deeper green on the plastic used in this one. It's got that orange line, so we'll just pop that down and have a look at the locomotive we just seen over this one, so we won't dwell on it. We'll just have a swift look over them in a little bit more detail, a bit closer up. We'll just work our way around the backs of these tenders and have a swift look over them while we've got the opportunity, I think, just to have them all standing side by side. So we won't go into nuts and bolts of all of them. We'll just have a rough look over them like this, see them together. So these are all sort of 70s models. See the difference in the plastic between the Albert Hall and the later Kneller Hall there. It's quite waxy, the Albert Hall. So looking great from the front. A lot of wear on the lining on the Kneller Hall there, especially on that. Is it the handrail running along the side there? And that scratches on the roof of the Albert Hall there. That just lets that one down just a little. And there we can see both the bright red Lord Westwood and the Albert Hall have the chuff chuff sound. And as we saw earlier, it's got the provision for chuff chuff sound in the tender on the Kneller Hall there. But I don't think it was ever fitted. Looks like that screw's been rather over cranked in the past there on that tender at the top, doesn't it? Just look how crude the wheels are on the Lord Westwood compared to the other two models. They really are a different sort of technology, aren't they? So different drive gear and different worms as well in the Westwood and the Albert Hall and Kneller Hall. So the one closest to me is the oldest model. That's the Lord Westwood. And then again we've got the Albert Hall from the mid-70s. And then the Kneller Hall from the later 70s with that different sort of style of lining on the cylinder block, and definitely that repair that's been carried out there. You can see the extra washer there to hold everything in place. And there we have her back on the rails, running really quite nicely now that we've got that tyre refitted. Not quite sure why that decided to pop off then, but she'd been running really nicely all the previous afternoon, so we'll just let her run around a little bit more. Just see if we can follow her a little closer for a moment or two. And I think we'll leave her to that for a moment, and we'll have a look at the Albert Hall, still sitting in the engine shed. So what we're going to do is bring her onto the turntable and turn her around as well. So let's firstly we need to open up number 1R. Let's give that a go. So now we have some energy into the sidings off the turntable. Let's see if we can get her forwards a little. There we have it. And then let's rotate her. So as we saw in the pictures a few moments ago, she is a much tidier model than the Kneller Hall. Almost there. And then we just need to reverse the direction, and then we'll back her off the turntable. I'd already reversed the direction. And there she is, so we'll just close the points there for a second. And we'll leave her there and we'll go back to the Kneller Hall. So we're going to get the Kneller Hall into the station here, I think. So we're just going to bring her to a stop just before we get to the girder bridge. And we'll slow her down a little now. And we'll stop there. Then we're going to open 8R so we can get onto the spur into the station. There we go, that's the point in the distance just beyond the bridge there. So let's see if we can pull this lot through. So I'll get a slightly wider view here. A little bit bumpy on that point. Running around there quite nicely through the diamond crossing. And into the station. So that's going in on platform 3. Let's get all the way down here. And we'll bring her to a stop near the Britannia there. So let's begin to slow that right down. There we have it. So I'm going to isolate her so we can then bring up the Albert Hall and we can double head them. So let's just throw the switches for now. And then we'll close the points behind us. So that's number 8R. And then to get the path through, so we can get the Albert Hall through there, we need 2B and 1B to start with. So ideally, that Albert Hall will now move forwards. That was a nice idea. And then we're going to switch 2B. And I think we've got a direct path now up to the Kneller Hall. So let's reverse the direction. And away we go. So a relatively smooth coupling there, so we'll reverse the direction again. And let's see if we can pull the whole lot out of the siding. So I'm going to have to unisolate the Kneller Hall now. So I must put those switches in a better position. Ideally, I'm going to situate them under here rather than off to the right. They've just sort of evolved that way after a piece of hardboard to make that panel. So let's see if we can ease those out onto the main line. Try and stop them from tearing away. There we have it. So, and if we close number 1B again, let's see if we can catch up with them. Sorry about the wobbly camera. Give it a little bit more power. Look quite impressive as the pair together, don't they? Perhaps I should just tighten up the camera a little bit and see if we can get some slightly closer shots there. Directing a little bit quicker. I suppose we should really get out the Lord Westwood, shouldn't we? So we need 3Y to open up there. So let's give that a little bit of a throw on the switch. I don't think I can hold that over for you to see. Now let's see which direction the Lord Westwood's going to go in, because I've completely lost track. The correct direction. Try and close 3Y before we have an accident. And there she goes. So we've got two models with chuff chuff sound there. So it's making quite a racket. Let's see if we can widen the camera a little. Lord Westwood there with those Mark I Great Western style coaches. And there we have it, toy trains in full flight. So it is tremendous fun. Definitely not scale modelling. I think that's probably it for this week. Thanks again for watching. It really is hugely appreciated. And if you look back again next time, we'll try and have something else interesting from the range to have a look at. Goodbye now.